Dobroveče svima, dobrodošli na Mikrofon Masterclass. Veliko nam je zadovoljstvo da ste ovde i veliki pozdrav od kompanije Player. Večeras imamo priliku da slušamo gospodina Trevora. Molim vas jedan veliki aplauz za njega. Došao je iz Velike Britanije, iz Sontronicsa. Pre nego što Trevoru prepustim reč, ono što se nalazi ispred vas, to su ankete koje treba da popunite. Na kraju ovog sešana biće izvlačenje, tako da vam želim svu sreću, želim vam da uživate, želim da se zahvalim domaćinima i moje ime je Vanja Stamenković. Još jednom veliki pozdrav od kompanije Player. Trevor, please, can you come on my spot?
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Dobroveče. I have absolutely no idea what Vanya asked you or told you then, but hopefully it was positive. The purpose of today's presentation is to explain to you some history of Sontronics microphones, who we are, what we do, why we do it, and then we will have an audio listening session with a selection of some of the microphones we have here, and following that, a questions and answer session. Sontronics is a small family-owned company based in the UK. I am Trevor Coley. I am the founder and designer of Sontronics. The background for me is, believe it or not, from this youthful face, I have been in the industry now for 32 years. I've been involved in music for over 40 years. It's a passion for me. I am not classically trained. I have zero qualifications in engineering or audio, but it's my passion and has been my passion for almost all my life. I began when I was 6 years old with my family's reel-to-reel 2-track analog tape machine. And I would sit on a Sunday afternoon with a small microphone connected to this machine and sing along karaoke style with the music from the charts. So the top 40 songs I would be singing. And on my 50th birthday last year, my parents presented me with this reel-to-reel machine. So I now have this in my museum in the UK, but nobody can listen to the recordings, only me, when I'm 6. From there, my early days as a tape operator, I began the journey into music. Music was, nobody in my family was a musician, which was very unusual, but music was everywhere in our life. Every morning on the weekend, my mother would have the vinyl playing, country music, lots of harmony. The Beatles, the Everly Brothers, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, these names, for me, are part of my DNA. There was an American band called the Monkees. I don't know if any of you will remember. I can see some of the older people in the room will know. Thank you so much. Equipment, but I will keep my hand on this. That's easy. But the Monkees was an American boy band that was created for TV, and it was just at the end of the 60s. And this came on the TV in the UK every Saturday morning and was such a huge inspiration to me. The guitar player, a guy called Mike Nesmith, played this huge Gretsch 12-string, electric 12-string. And there is a famous song, Last Train to Clarksville, which you hear this jangly, amazing guitar riff. And that, I can say categorically, was the inspiration for me to begin playing guitar. So at the age of 12, I taught myself to play guitar. As I said, I'm not classically trained in any way. Everything is my ears and my eyes. And this began a journey for me. At the age of 14, I was working in a guitar store on a Saturday as a part-time job. And I had a band. I was the guitarist and songwriter. My friend was the bassist with a drum machine also. And I saved enough money to buy a 4-track cassette analog recording machine. And I still have this machine to this day. It's exactly the same immaculate condition. The microphone I had for my guitar was a pre-wired dynamic microphone. Just the sort of thing you find in any store. The problem I had was I was more capable at playing at that time. I was getting more skilled. but the sound that was recorded was nothing like the sound from my amplifier. And it was very frustrating. I think many people have had this experience where the sound in the room and the recorded sound are not equal. It's a conundrum. It's a problem for all recording engineers. I was talking about this to the manager of the music store. He said, "Hey, Trevor, take this microphone, open the drawer, take this, try this." So this following Saturday evening, I was with my band, my friends. Right, we have this new microphone to try. Wow, connect it. Nothing. Zero. The guy has played a joke on me. This is a joke. Next Saturday, I go to the store. "Trevor, how is the microphone? Did you enjoy it?" Yeah, it's funny. No, did you enjoy it? I said, "No, it doesn't work." Yes, it works. What are you talking about? I said, "I plugged it into my machine, no sound." He said to me, "Did you try the phantom power?" What's phantom power? I'm 15 years old. I have no idea. He gives me this box. "Okay, try this." I take it home, I plug it. Oh my God. Like the curtains open, the sun comes in, I can hear every detail of my guitar and amplifier. And this for me was an epiphany moment. It was the moment that told me microphones are fundamental in our sound reproduction. So this began a small seed in my mind. I left school at 16 years old. I went into the insurance industry, which is the most boring thing to do, but it was a job. But music was my passion. And 2 years later, I found myself looking at job advertisements, and I found this thing that said, "Hey, are you interested in music? Can you sell?" I think, yes, this is perfect. Okay, this could be the job for you. And the company was the Music Corporation. Sounded very grand, very big. So, okay, I get on my little motorbike and I think, okay, I need to find where this place is because I have an interview and I need to be prepared. So all of you that are students now, think about this in the future. Make your preparations before you go for your job interview. Learn about the company a little bit. Find where it is so you're not late. So I'm looking, driving up and down. There was no internet in this time. Remember, I'm old. So you have a map and you're looking at the map and the map says it's here. But this is a domestic house. Okay, I knock on the door. I'm looking for the Music Corporation. The man said, "Oh, it's next door in the garage." Oh my God, this is a joke. I knock on the door of the garage and open the door, and there is the smell of the recording studio. And this was the guy's son. It had a recording studio in the garage, and they were looking for somebody to come in and help with the professional clients who were buying equipment to make pre-recordings before they came to the studio. This was in the early 90s. Just as digital recording was beginning in the industry. We had this crossover point where analog was changing to digital. Studio time was expensive. So these artists were thinking, you know what? Before we come to the studio, maybe if we make a recording, a demo, then we know what we are doing. We are rehearsing and prepared. When we come to the studio, we are ready and we are not wasting our money. In the first year, I sold 1.5 million pounds of audio equipment to professionals who are now extremely famous. But back then, they were just like you and me. They were regular people. For me, this was a beginning of a journey. I learned in the studio engineering skills. I learned mastering skills. I learned etiquette in the studio, how to treat your artists. One more take, just like that. Not like that, but yeah, let's do it again. Maybe we get the sound we want. And then we put it all together later. But yeah, great job. All of these things to give confidence to the artists. I learned all of these things. I took them with me through my career. I was also following that job. I became a general manager of a music store. I loved that job. And I changed the company structure from 70% woodwind and brass musical instruments to 70% high-tech recording. And just at the end of the 90s when this was going stratospheric. I then moved to Soundcraft. Many of you will know the name Soundcraft mixing consoles. I became a national and then international sales manager for this company. I learned a lot about manufacturing and distribution of equipment. I also learned about international cultures and how things are very, very different from one country to another, even if the border is just a line in the ground. This is a very, very interesting thing for me. Different music, different styles, very, very helpful for me to learn about this. Towards the end of the 90s, I left Soundcraft and set up a new business importing microphones into the UK and Europe. This began a new ideal for me because it took me back to the beginning for me, the fundamental point. And with this brand, I started to see it was very basic. It was an import from China, and it was not perfect. In fact, it was very far from perfect. And I started to see where there were some ways to improve this. But the owner of the company wasn't ready to make changes. So I left the company, and 6 months later, I started Sontronics. I have my blueprint idea, and I will explain more later. Is everything clear? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. The rest of my family here, this is my friends and my family. Lisa is our operations and marketing director. She is also my wife. She is the opposite end of the scale. She is a concert pianist and a concert flautist and a perfect music theoretical person. She understands everything about music. So if we are in Abbey Road Studios, I am talking with the audio engineers about tech, and she is talking with the orchestra about music, which is a wonderful marriage. It works perfectly. And it is a wonderful marriage. We have a fantastic life from this. Chris is our senior product manager. He is a professional producer, engineer, a top-level saxophonist. João and João, there are two Joãos there, are our Portuguese guys, okay? These are our guys who help me develop my ideas. And this is a really important thing, again, for everybody here. I don't have all of the skills, but I have the ideas. And the collaboration of their skills and my ideas creates my products. And this is the same for all of you. You may have a guitarist, a drummer, a bassist, an engineer, a vocalist. Use those connections to create something bigger than the single items. Okay, for me, these guys have and continue to help me realize my concepts and ideas. And then Miles, Fran, and Morgan have been with us for just 1 year. And these guys were students. Fran is not. Fran is part of our administration, but Miles and Morgan are 19 years old. They came to a presentation like this, and they were the two people asking questions at the end of the session. And they came up to me. We had great conversation, and I said, "What are you doing when you finish your studies?" "I don't know." "Would you like to come and work with Sontronics?" "Yes." And now they do. And both of these guys, within 6 months, have been making microphones. They are building microphones, going to everywhere across the world with major artists and studios. Very proud of them. So we are a small family, very small family. I launched my brand at the NAMM show. Many of you will be familiar with the name, but if you are not, it is a big trade show in America every January, or before COVID, it was every January. It is the mecca for anyone interested in music and music production. Has anybody visited NAMM before? No, nobody. If you ever get the opportunity, take it with both hands, because it is the best place on earth at that point in time. Number one, California sunshine. Okay, it's January. You want to see the sun. It's a good feeling. Number two, 100,000 people with the same mind as you. And it's buzzing. Okay, so if you ever get the opportunity, take it. When I started Sontronics, the NAMM show is an expensive place to put your brand. A space like this would cost about 60,000 euros for the space, for the floor. Oh, you want lights? That's another 3,000 euros. You want electricity? Oh, that's 5,000 euros. Okay, I can't afford this. So I booked a hotel suite, and I knew a lot of people in the industry, in the media, and I thought I need to just take a chance. So I have my hotel bedroom and I have my 3 prototype microphone designs, and I invited about 30 people to come and meet me, and they all came. It was incredible. And I have this image of the hotel manager looking at the CCTV, and every half an hour some person comes in and then goes out, and another one comes in and goes out all day. We came away from that show with 4 international distributors signed a contract and 2 front page headline stories for Sontronics in international magazines. So it was an incredible beginning for us. And it cost me about 1,000 euros for the suite. So it was a good investment. Our company, as I mentioned, is family owned, Lisa and me. And between us and our crew, we have more than 150 years of experience in audio. And this is what we want to share with you, with everybody. And this is a very important thing. It's key to the brand, sharing knowledge. Since the beginning of the introduction, in fact, I need to update this, we are now represented in over 74 countries around the globe. So our small team is the heart of the operation, but our distributors, like Player, are absolutely integral as part of our family. And it's become an incredible thing to see Sontronics across the map. The only place that we are not represented in the continents is Antarctica. But there's only penguins there, so it's no big deal. It's okay for now. Maybe penguins need mics. So just to introduce, when you're establishing a brand, and this is the key for me, it's a brand. It's about a legacy. I want to create a legacy. So when I am gone, when I am finished with this business or it's finished with me, I leave something behind, positive, hopefully. My father, when he was working, was an engineer, a mechanical engineer, electronic engineer, and he always taught me about quality. You know, curiously, when he was my age, Britain was famous for quality of engineering, but that all changed in the 70s and 80s. It all went away. I am trying to bring that back with my brand. So creating the brand, we need to have values. As a microphone, it does one job. It reproduces sound. So it must be first class. It just must be. No substitute. We also must have top level engineering quality. And one of the big problems is trying to create something that is affordable, but is also high quality is a difficult job. You all know, can anyone name a famous microphone brand? Anyone? Yeah, it's the first one that comes to mind, isn't it? And that's it. And that's cool because they have created a legacy. Okay, it's an iconic thing. 90 years old, 90. So I am always compared with Neumann. Well, the cost of my condenser microphone maybe is 500 euros, but the Neumann is 2,500. So you could argue it's a little unfair to be compared at this level. Imagine you are a 100-meter sprinter, okay? You are good. So you rise up to a national level sprinter. So now you are very, very good. Then one day you are on the track and there is Usain Bolt, the fastest man on the planet. And you can think, okay, this is unfair because this is the fastest man on the planet. But he is also a 100-meter sprinter, just like you. And if you try hard enough and train, maybe one day you will beat Usain Bolt. So this is the mentality I must have with my microphones. Okay, I have to do everything possible to be shoulder to shoulder with the famous brands, the iconic brands. As a microphone, it must be reliable and consistent. Reliability is obvious. You need to be able to trust this device. It does one job. Let's make it work. Number 2, consistency in manufacturing is really important. Imagine you buy a microphone and you love this and you think, I need to do stereo recording. So you need another microphone. But they need to be almost identical to create your stereo pair. So we spend a huge amount of money and time creating consistency in our manufacturing. We also need to make sure that they are good value for money and affordable. Now, the problem in today's world is the industry does not have a huge amount of money. So what we have to do is make sure that any money you have can be stretched as far as possible. And that's it. Your budget is your budget. So we make sure that everything we manufacture, A, top level quality, B, reliable and consistent, but C, it's affordable or great value for money or both. So for example, when you are looking at a pack like this or this, you're talking about 200 euros, 250 euros compared to the alternative, which is 500 or 600 euros. Is the quality is there. So most important for us. Next is some of my designs are not conventional. So the conventional microphone style is a cylinder. We all know a regular studio microphone is a cylinder style. Okay, for me it's a little boring. I grew up being inspired by Art Deco. I love Art Deco, 1920s, 1930s, geometric style. My brain is hyperactive. When I was young, there was no such thing as ADHD or anything like this. It was, that guy's a little bit busy, okay? That's it. That was all they would say. Hyperactive was not a word in the 1970s. But I know my brain is very active. I like things to be organized. I have OCD, okay? It's simple as that. So I can see that this is not on there. It's driving me crazy. There we go. Now it's fixed. Basically, all of these things are so important. But when I'm designing microphones, I like to make things a little different. I like to imagine, okay, if I make a design and picture it in monochrome in the 1920s image, would my microphone look in context? And that is my beginning point. That's the style. However, I am under the laws of physics because, like a speaker monitor, a microphone is a transducer. Sound is coming in compared to going out. The speaker design is not accidental. It's purposeful. It's exactly this way to create the sound image. The same with the microphone. So I can make a crazy, interesting design. However, the quality of sound is completely dictated by the structure. So I can make a very interesting, crazy design and it will sound terrible. It may look interesting, but it sounds terrible. And beware of this, okay? Look, we had a conversation today and yesterday. Humans use their eyes. It's the number one sense, okay? You look at something and you make a judgment. The famous cliche, never judge the book by the cover. Yeah, I think you have a similar thing here. This is, unfortunately, we humans use our eyes to judge immediately. I like this. I like this style. There are many microphone companies who create interesting designs, but actually they are not thinking about the quality of sound output, okay? So beware of this, okay? Sometimes we fall into this trap. Wow, look at this crazy new design. You plug it in, it's useless. Or maybe you can use it for one purpose, okay? That's not helpful in today's world. So physics is my master, basically. Also, all my life, as I explain, I have no qualifications in any of this, but I have learned through help and advice from other people. And I want to share the same thing. How many of you people here ever thought about being a microphone designer? Nobody. I can answer for you because I didn't. I was going to be a veterinary surgeon. That was my plan, I promise. But because of my overactive brain, I've had huge difficulty in learning from books. You show me how to do something, I can do it. But read from a book is a problem for me. So when it came to make my examinations, my physics and science masters were like, Trevor, maybe give up on the vet idea, okay? So all my life I have been learning with my eyes, my ears, my hands, watching, learning. I want to transmit this and share this knowledge because you won't find it anywhere else. People need to share it. So it's part of our brand value. Together, does everyone comfortable? Yes? Yeah. Thank you. That was a strong yes. Thank you for that. I feel good now. Great, we're getting somewhere. Anyone want a job? Okay. Allied to the brand values are the concepts. What is Sontronics about? I want to create classic vintage designs for the digital recording era. Digital recording era. This is incredibly important, and I will go into this very soon. I want to avoid the common problems that are associated with what is called OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturing. And OEM, I know some of you will understand this, but I will explain it. This bottle, okay, somebody in a factory in Asia, China usually, makes this bottle. And I want my name on the bottle. You want your name on the bottle. It's the same bottle. We just put our different name. You have blue, I have red. That's it. That's OEM manufacturing. Neither of us did anything. We made no contribution to the design, engineering, nothing. But we got something useful for selling. This creates huge problems in our industry because our industry is about sound and it's all about quality of sound reproduction. It requires passion and thought and investment to get it right because this is the fundamental point of sound reproduction. If it's wrong at the microphone, everything is wrong. You're wasting your time. So, one of the big problems with microphones coming in from China, the OEM, and I won't be rude and name the brands, but if you want to talk to me after, I will talk to you privately. And this is not to be impolite or disrespectful, but I think what is really important today is the integrity of what we are about in our industry. Integrity is a big, important word. With these OEM microphones, you have poor consistency. Each manufacturing is another manufacturing. They've made your blue bottles, now they're making my red bottles, but they left some of the red ink and now the blue and the red is purple. Well, send them anyway. So you receive your container of bottles and they don't look anything like the previous batch. It's a problem. It exists consistency problems everywhere. Irregular frequency response, okay? It's a transducer. It's got one job to do. But from manufacturer to manufacturer, from production to production, they are different. It's a huge problem. And also, from Asia, one of the biggest problems was too much high frequency, okay? A huge accentuation, a huge emphasis in high frequency. And again, I will explain more. I wanted to create our own unique selling points for Sontronics. So we use the phrase USP, okay? This is something really important for me because as a guitarist, I will pick up my guitars and depending on the model I have, if it's a Les Paul, I will play some heavy rock. If I pick up my Telecaster, maybe a little bit of country. If I'm picking up my acoustics, finger picking style, whatever. This is important to me because the timbre of the instrument, the wood that it is made from, evokes what I play. It dictates it. And I also think that microphones are actually just not treated with respect. They are instruments. They are true instruments. But you know what? People just say, put the microphone on this. Yeah, put the mic on the drums, put a mic on the guitars. Which mic? Why are you choosing this microphone? This needs to be thought about. So for me, I want to create something innovative, interesting design. I want to create the microphones with a character, a personality, like each of you. I have twin boys, identical twins, but they each have a character different, which is confusing sometimes. But they are not a matched pair, but then they can interchange their personalities, which is a skill they are working with. I'm doing my best. One is now a policeman, which is, again, another problem for me. So, very proud. Most importantly, no EQ, okay? Equalization is for fixing problems. Why should you need to EQ the microphone? If it's the correct microphone doing the correct job, the correct position, placement, why would you touch EQ? It's like a chef. You make your food, you cover it in salt and pepper, that's a disaster. It's a disaster. You've got something wrong. So this was the concept of Sontronics. No need for EQ. Let the microphone speak for itself. We employ very, very strict quality controls in the research and development and the production process. So every single microphone that we make goes through scrutineering, is checked manually by a person. It's not just like a production line spitting out constant rubbish. Every microphone is tested and checked by a human being and made by a human being. Important. We only use high quality materials. And this is, again, I told you I am governed by physics. Physics is my master. The materials I select for my microphones contribute exactly to the quality of sound and the character, just like the wood in a guitar or a drum set or an acoustic instrument. It makes a huge difference. Again, I will explain why. And we pay attention to fine details. As I said, my father was an engineer, and everything he did was of the highest quality, and this stayed with me. You know, it was, again, integrity. We want our brand to be respected. So when you look at things like the logo and the details on the microphone, they are engraved into the metal, or they are laser etched onto the surface. So it will always say Sontronics. 50 years, 100 years from now, Sontronics, okay? I think is important. The cases, the boxes that we provide, everything is very, very high level. That's the key to what we do. And again, the brand concept of sharing knowledge with everybody. We want this to be part of your journey too. So if you have questions, generally about microphones is helpful, but if you have questions that you want to ask us, we are at your disposal. Okay, so, hey, Trevor, I need to know about, I'm miking drums, I'm miking a cello, I'm miking a violin, whatever. Trevor@sontronics.com. You can send me an email, and me or my team will respond to you, okay? This is part of our relationship here. We have 150 years of experience and growing. As you see, my hair is changing color. Why are you laughing? Okay, so the final thing of our brand concept, because of all the effort that we put into the production and the quality, everything about that, we offered the very first lifetime warranty. No one in the world offers a lifetime warranty on microphones, only Sontronics. And it's not a gimmick, it's not a joke. Basically, we have, touch some wood, we have one of the lowest rates of failure or return in the industry. In the industry, we have less than 0.3% of breakdown. And the breakdowns of that 0.3, about 99% is user error. It is basically somebody who doesn't know about phantom power, or somebody who doesn't know about polar patterns, or which way to sing into the microphone. It's simple like that. Believe me, because of the ability to buy a product online without any knowledge or skill of how to use that product, people will make an opinion or a decision about its quality. So imagine you, and not you, but people. Imagine people buy something on Amazon, they buy a microphone, they plug it in, and they have it 180 degrees the wrong way. And they start to sing, and the level is inaudible. This is rubbish. Send it back. Bad review. It comes back to us or to our distributors. You plug it in, 1, 2, 1, beautiful. But we now have a 1-star review on Amazon. Terrible product, okay? Beware of this, okay? Use your own ears. Use our intelligence to assist you. So our lifetime warranty is absolutely there to protect you. As its name suggests, it's lifetime. So your lifetime on the microphone, whatever goes first, okay? One of the strange things being English, well, one of the many strange things of being English, is we were raised to be modest. We never talk about our success. Because if I talk about my success, maybe I make you feel a little smaller, okay? So for 12 years, we were winning awards from magazines, from all areas, and we never told anybody because we're modest and we don't want to offend anyone. And then I look at the competition in the industry and I'm thinking, everyone's talking about their awards, so maybe we should begin this process because actually, yeah, this is a commercial thing. We begin this process and I'm very proud of this. I feel uncomfortable looking at this because it's my personality. I feel uncomfortable. But we won the best microphone brand in our UK industry awards. And every brand was there, every brand in the world of microphones. And I'm sitting in the table, and it's a big dinner. And we were told by the organizers, you must come, you must come. And each ticket was 350 euros. 350 euros for a dinner and a presentation awards. And we didn't know we were winning anything. We make a decision, okay, let's go. So Lisa and I visit 700 euros and the hotel, which is in London. So it's 400 euros for a hotel close to the event. So we're already thinking, my God, with 1,200 euros is gone. Oh, well, we're having the dinner and having a great time with all of our friends in the industry. There's 500 people there. And then presentation for best interface, monitors, blah, blah, blah. Best microphone, Sontronics. I spit my wine out. What was this? And then everyone, Trevor, you won. You won the award. Oh, my God. It was an amazing thing. The next year, we are invited. Okay, we now pay the ticket without any question. Yeah, okay, we're coming. Again, we're sitting in the table. And best microphone, Sontronics. 2 years consequential. And we cannot believe this because it's voted by the public. So it was independent. It was not industry. It was independent. We were so proud. Third year, we come along to the event. There is no microphone award. There is no best microphone award. We asked the organizer, what has happened? Well, Shure is sponsoring the drinks on the table. So we believe we won 3 times, but Shure took away from us, okay? So it was a very big deal for us. Okay, you can see those things. You can ask me afterwards if you want to know more. Okay, I will now try to get into the points of what is special about Sontronics. First of all, accurate audio reproduction. That's the job of the microphone. Mix ready results. So the key is you set up your microphones, you sound check, make some adjustments for placing. It's ready to go. You record, you listen back. Done. No EQ, nothing. Just keep working. No EQ required. You are listening to the sound of the microphones and the source. You need to do nothing more. Maybe some dynamics processing, of course, but no changing of the signal. The number one thing about Sontronics, our USP, unique selling point, is our super smooth high frequency roll-off. It's a lot of words in English. Hopefully it translates easily. But super smooth high frequency roll-off. I will be questioning you all after this to remember this, okay? So, here is a frequency graph for a microphone. Has anybody seen frequency charts before? Very simply, if you haven't, it's very straightforward. So on one axis, we have the frequency in hertz from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. This is the range of human perception, not hearing. If you can hear at 20 hertz, you're a dog, okay? At 20 kilohertz, it's just harmonics. There's nothing you can hear. But the younger, some of you are much, much younger than me, you will still be able to hear maybe 18, 19K. I can't now, unfortunately. This is, the other axis I should explain is loudness in decibels. Okay, so very straightforward. This is your OEM microphone. You've contacted the factory in China. They send you a catalog. You say, hey, yeah, I have this one in green, this one in blue, this one in red. This is what you receive. And allow me a little artistic license. There is a little exaggeration, but not too much. But I wanted to show this important part. You have a huge boost in the upper mids and high frequencies. Have any of you visited Asia before? China, Thailand? Okay, just to explain my reason to say this. In those countries, the instruments they listen to, violins, flutes, bells, even the singing voice is in the high frequencies, okay? So all we are seeing here is essentially an EQ, a boost in those frequencies. So these frequencies now are emphasized. Westerners love bass. We love the low frequencies. Subwoofers, yeah, we love them. Our cars, you know, you hear a young person driving by, that's it, we love bass. So let's give them some bass. So you see this boost in the low end. In the mids, it's kind of okay. So you have this roller coaster effect. At the top end, it's chaos. But we'll get back to that. You put some headphones on, you speak into this microphone, not this microphone, but that microphone, and you will hear hi-fi. It will sound alive. It will sound amazing. It's like Beats headphones. It's a disaster. This is useless for mixing, okay? In isolation, it's okay. But you put it together with your music, no chance, no chance. I'll try to explain why. Back in the old days of analog, which were not so long ago, but actually getting there, everything was only audible until around 15 kilohertz, okay? At the point of 15 kilohertz, the tape would saturate the sound. It could not accurately reproduce it. So you have this roll-off. How do we describe analog sound with one word? Warm. Perfect. Warm. How is a sound warm? Tell me. Okay? How can it be a feeling? But this is the word we use. The way we describe that is warm. It feels like something is holding us, wrapped around our ears, okay? But the reason is the equipment couldn't reproduce the high frequencies. That's all. Okay? They existed. They've always existed. But the equipment could not reproduce it. So all of the old guys there, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Motown, well, those were the days. Not really. Not really. But it was just the time. It was just what was available at the time. The new revolution, literally, of vinyl coming back into today, that's analog. That's pure analog. And we kind of like it because it's got that warm sensation to our ears. It's just not clear. That's the point. It's not clear. Digital came along, 5 more kilohertz of top frequencies and harmonics that we never heard before, but they were always there. Go back to my guitar experience with my dynamic microphone. That dynamic microphone could not reproduce the frequencies of my guitar amplifier. The same concept. So, one of the big problems at that top end, you see this chaos. And the truth is simply, the Chinese manufacturers came into the Western, well, in fact, into the Eastern bloc of Europe in the 1950s. Remembering these were communist countries, you will understand this more than most. Communist nations were sharing information and technologies, and microphones was one of them, audio. They were trying to copy some designs. Now imagine, just for one moment, which microphone manufacturer was in Eastern Europe?
Telefunken.
No. Neumann. In Berlin. Okay. Telefunken is Telefunken is not a manufacturer. Telefunken was the distributor of Neumann and AKG in America. So beware American marketing. We'll talk more about this off mic, okay? Always beware, okay? This industry is a snake pit of lots of lies and perception, exactly. So the Chinese tried to copy the Germans' technologies. The Germans had analog technologies for measuring frequencies beyond 40 kilohertz. The Chinese did not have this technology. They tried to copy physically, but they didn't have the equipment to check if it was exactly correct. And that technology, if you can call it that, has continued to this day. To this day. If you visit Altron Factory, 797 Audio, Superlux Factory in China, this is what you have. Exactly this, okay? Again, I won't mention any brands now, but we can talk later if you want to know. So, for me, this was a blueprint because at the top end of digital recording, now we have, instead of pieces of iron filings being moved by a magnet, now we have binary digits, bits. Okay, that's what bits means. Binary digits, zeros and ones. And if you think about 24 bits, okay, we think about a 24-bit resolution. I always imagine them like cubes. So a 0 cube and a 1 cube, that's your binary. And we have 24 of those to put on the curve of the signal. Now, hopefully this English will translate easy. When we are at 15 kilohertz, we are 15,000 cycles per second. And we are asking the computer chip to put 24 binary blocks on that curve. Now, if this microphone response is random, like this, peaks low, this computer chip cannot place these blocks accurately or quickly or smoothly. And I imagine them in my mind like they are rubbing against each other, like a friction. And this friction we call dithering. There's some nods. You heard this phrase before. I don't know if it's the same in your language, but dithering is an artifact which is like a static electricity sound. You cannot remove it from your sound, your track. You can use maybe the isotope software to strip out some of the sounds, noise, but then you lose your harmonic structure. You're taking away something to remove the problem. So for me, this was my blueprint for Sontronics. So here we have the blue line here is the Aria Lampashki microphone, okay? There's my help. So this microphone here is this frequency response in blue. You have ultra linear low and low mids. At around 1 to 2K, we have a little dip, okay? Just a little dip. And then very linear through the high mids and highs. And at the top end, this beautiful smooth roll off, okay? This is the Sontronics blueprint, literally, for everything we do. Not exactly the same frequency response in each mic, but this top end response, super smooth, high frequency roll off. The dip in that frequency response for the Aria, this is a vocal microphone. These are the frequencies where vocals sit most. Subtractive EQ is the most powerful because you allow something to breathe. You put this in your mix, sits instantly. If it's positive additive EQ, you're adding everything. It's like salt and pepper. More salt, more pepper. Disaster. You can never go back. With this, it sits beautifully. So this is the foundation for every Sontronics mic. Application-specific microphones. This was something for us that became very clear after about 6 or 7 years into the process of Sontronics. We would have someone come to say, hey, what is the best microphone for my drums or my guitar? And, okay, well, we have this one and this one and this one. It's not good enough because today, nobody has the patience to listen or learn or anything. They want instant gratification. You want an answer to something, you go to this. Instant, you know? But the problem is, how do you know what you're reading is correct? Okay, you don't. You just believe it. Dangerous. So I started to think about, okay, we need to produce products which are specific and do the job immediately, instant satisfaction. So, drum microphones. Any drummers here? No drummers? Any drummers embarrassed to say they are here? They are so important to our work, okay? Don't forget this. Okay, this is a pity because, look, drums are tuned percussion, okay? Generally speaking, they are made from wood, and the wood, depending on which wood, creates a timbre, a different tonality. Usually, the drummer receives the very last microphones in the kit. The vocalist gets it number 1, the guitarist gets it number 2, maybe even the bassist has a mic. But whatever is remaining is put on the drum kit. And so the drummer is listening to foldback or in-ear, which is absolutely nothing like the drums they are playing, okay? You think about a tom-tom. Let's say you have 2 rack toms, 12 inches, 14 inches, and maybe 16 or 18 inches floor. Doom, doom, doom. These, if tuned correctly, will resonate sympathetically. You hit one, the other 2 resonate. They don't need to be hit. So you have something happening here. You have a chord. You're playing a chord just by one hit, okay? So this is very, very important to remember this. Usually, for drums, most people are given dynamic microphones. The usual reason is if the drummer hits it with the stick, they will not break. Okay. Nothing to do with sound, okay? Now, most drummers I know are usually very competent and they don't hit microphones. So, this is a strange situation. I thought, okay, you look at these microphones and you have a dynamic microphone on the kick drum in the front. Okay. You don't hear any attack. So then they put another microphone on the other side with the beater. So you have click. So now you have click. But where is the low energy? You have a woof and a click, but you don't have a boom. So then they put a reverse speaker on there. Okay, you have everything now. Click, boom, boom. But 3 channels are now used on your device. If it's your recording device or your live sound mixer, 3 channels. Oh, we have a snare drum, we have 3 more toms, and maybe we have overheads. Snare drum. Oh, what about the snares? Okay, another microphone under, reverse the phase. Now we have some attack and we have the snare sound. 2 channels. So we have 5 channels for 2 components of the drum kit. Then we have tom-toms. Now, if you think about how a dynamic microphone works, the capsule, the transducer, is an electromagnet, okay? So you have a coil of wire, you have what is called a diaphragm, which is the thin fabric that receives the sound, much like a speaker cone. Then you have a magnet under the coil. The signal comes in, it hits the diaphragm, the wire coil moves with the magnetism, and then it slows down because the mass is heavy. It cannot oscillate at very high frequencies. So you end up with a very quick roll-off of sound. You have no sustain, no decay. So when you hit the tom-tom, you hear doom, 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 like this. But actually, the tom-tom is going doom, doom, doom. I recorded a test of our 18-inch floor tom. One simple hit, gentle hit, 36 seconds. It was continuing to resonate. 36 with a gentle tap. So, dynamic microphones and drums, it's all wrong. Okay, you are not hearing the true effect. Overheads often will be condenser microphones. Actually, the overheads create 70% of the mix sound anyway. So it's just curious, why would you mix these things together? Why would you have condensers doing most of the sound and then dynamics doing something that's not correct? Also, I noticed that with the dynamic mics, you would have a graphic equalizer and maybe you take away a little 400, 500 hertz to allow the low end to breathe a little bit. Maybe you add a bit of 5 to 8K for a bit more attack. So you see a curve in this graphic equalizer. And I'm thinking, okay, let's make a set of microphones, condenser microphones, which has this curve built into the electronics process. And so we begin with these microphones, the DM1B, 1S and 1T. DM1B is actually for bass instruments, not only for kick drum, but for bass guitar. Any bass guitarists? Fantastic, good. So usually you will come to the setup and you will plug in, and you'll plug in directly to the mixing console, DI. What about that beautiful cabinet that you bought? Okay, no one's hearing any of that. All they're hearing is the electronics from the amplifier section. So put the DM1B, large diaphragm, amazing power output condenser. This can take 155 decibels of sound pressure with zero distortion. It's almost unique in the industry, okay? But you put that together with your DI bass signal, you have the attack and transient from the DI, and you have the beautiful cabinet sound from the microphone. So suddenly you have an expansion of sound, which is real, it's genuine. The 1S is for snare, and the 1T for tom-toms. And now you have a set of microphones that sound exactly like your drum kit, ready to go instantly. Okay, and they come in a flight case. We can show you this afterwards, but when we launched this product, overnight was successful for us because drummers could hear themselves exactly as they were playing, and it's made a huge impact for us. I'm a guitarist, as I explained. One of the biggest problems I've had is recreating my guitar tone. Any guitarists in the room? Many more guitarists. Fantastic. Okay, good. So one of the big things about guitar amplifiers and recording is actually we're recording or reproducing the amplifier, not the guitar, because that's where the microphone is. So ribbon microphones are really important to this, and I'll look at this process now to try to explain carefully. When I was learning, and part of this whole process for me was thinking about the fundamental frequencies of each instrument. A 6-string guitar is basically from 82 hertz to 1.2 kilohertz, and that is a regular guitar, not a Steve Vai 50 strings and 400 frets. So this is a regular electric guitar. I was always taught to give an image of the instrument, you should add 2 subtone harmonics, so 2 octaves below, and then 3 overtone harmonics, which gives you this beautiful range. So if you think about the guitar, you're now looking at 20 hertz, very coincidental, and then 9.4 kilohertz. This is the range of any electric guitar, any 6-string guitar, acoustic or otherwise. However, the image that we're actually listening to is the guitar amplifier. And every guitar speaker that I was checking out had a range of 75 hertz to no more than 7 kilohertz. It's this. We are thinking about this, but actually it's this. So why would you put a condenser microphone with 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz response in front of a guitar amplifier with only a maximum of 7K response? All you are doing is collecting sound which is completely irrelevant to that instrument. So let's take you to ribbon microphones. Have any of you used ribbon microphones before? A few of you? Lots of nods. I'm pleased to see none of you, some of you have not tried them, because you will. You have them here and they will change your lives, okay? Ribbon microphones are the dinosaurs of the microphone world. They died out because they were comparatively fragile to use. The ribbon is describing a very small piece of aluminium foil, which is like a spring inside 2 magnets. The signal comes in, the spring stretches and returns from 0 to positive to negative to positive to negative, and eventually back to 0. That's your signal positive, your signal negative. Positive sine wave, negative sine wave. They have a very specific characteristic. They are dynamic, that movement dynamic. So here is a very famous ribbon microphone, Coles 4038. In the audio industry, this is a British ribbon microphone that is invented for the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, way back in the 40s. And you can see the frequency response is very specific. It has a ramp for the low frequency and then becomes relatively linear, but rolls off very early. Also, it has very low sensitivity. This has a sensitivity of minus 63 decibels. So how many of you here have a Neve console? or an SSL? Anyone? Happy? Yeah? Some guys, okay. This product was developed for that market. It was based on having a very expensive system with huge amounts of gain and low noise, okay? How many of you have got a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2? Yeah? Come on. These boxes can't reproduce that level of gain with headroom. You know about headroom? So the space you have for big transient peaks without distortion. So it's simple. Imagine this is the ceiling and I'm jumping. Okay, you put me on a trampoline, the headroom is reduced, okay? So this Focusrite 2i2 is a fine product. It's no problem, but it will not work. You try to put 40 decibels of gain to make a useful signal, you don't have it in your Scarlett. But the ribbon microphone is still useful. How do we change this? So I developed a product called Sigma. And Sigma was our very first ribbon microphone with a phantom power preamplifier inside. So this boosted the output significantly and is actually identical to any condenser microphone. So anyone with a 2i2 can now use a ribbon microphone. However, this is not the end of the story. You see that red line around 10 kilohertz. You can see how that frequency response works very linear with a guitar speaker output. There's no boosts or peaks anywhere that's not relevant. The problem is most guitarists, me included, have a problem. It's an addiction to noise or loudness. And this should be a tattoo for every guitarist to have on their head. Imagine you begin the sound check and everyone's tested the bass, the drums, the guitar. Guitar is on 5. Okay, it sounds cool. We are miking the guitar up through the PA. Everything's cool. By song 3, mysteriously, the guitar amp is on 7. How did that happen? By the end of the set, the boost pedal has been on since the solo in song 8. It's a disaster. It's a wall of noise, okay? But nothing got louder. And the reason is amplifiers have a non-linear relationship to loudness, okay? What we are talking about is amplitude and volume. If I lower my voice, people at the back will not hear me so well. If I increase the loudness of my voice, the volume of the room is filled with sound. So when you think about, if you're just gigging in a bar and you don't have a PA, then yeah, of course you need to adjust the amplifier for the size of the room. But if the microphone is this close to the front of the amplifier, why do you need it on 11? This is a huge problem and was a huge problem for me because every Sigma we sold was like a boomerang. It would come back to me, broken. Okay, no problem, have another one. Same problem. Wow, this is a disaster. What is happening? Well, yeah, I put it in front of my amplifier like usual. I have it on 11 and the power cord, nothing. I check the microphones and I see this silver dust on the outside of the microphone. The ribbon is evaporated. Evaporated, okay? It's the truth. So, what is really important to remember is this. Most amplifiers actually get no louder past 5 or 6 in the mid-range of their loudness. What does happen usually is you get harmonic distortion. Okay, not heavy metal distortion, but harmonic distortion. But actually with a solid state amplifier, a transistor amplifier, that's not good. It breaks up. Lampashki amplifier is a different matter because then you get a very different tone. But most amplifiers that most people will buy are transistor. So turn it down, okay? Turn it down. When you go to a big stadium concert and you see Foo Fighters or something like this, and you see a wall of amplifiers and you see mics everywhere, it's all fake. Round the back of there is a box with a small amplifier and a microphone inside. The box is closed and that is fed to the 20 kilowatts PA system. That's what you are listening to. Everything else is just a show, okay? Remember this. So, I had to deal with the fact that there was no way we could re-educate every guitarist in the world to reduce the output of their amplifier, because that was never happening. So I produced the model Delta. Delta is exactly the same architecture of design as Sigma, but with a different transformer. The transformer level is lower by 10 decibels, and this 10 decibels enabled me to have effectively a safety net of loudness. And from that moment onwards, we never had a returned microphone. So Sigma is perfect for acoustic instruments. Delta is perfect for high sound pressure. Guitar amplifiers, brass. If any of you play brass, trumpet, trombones, tubas, astonishing. This gives you the best sound you will ever hear. Immediately a success for Sontronics. The new models, we now have Delta 2 and Sigma 2. To explain here, we have a near linear response from 45 hertz to 9 kilohertz. So the point is this. When any pianists here, any piano players? Yeah, I thought you might be a pianist. You think about any instrument you play with your fingers, with your hands, is about expression, okay? It's moments of and then moments of softness, okay? If your frequency response of your microphone has any peaks or any troughs, this is basically increasing or reducing the volume at that frequency. So if you play an arpeggio, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you didn't do that. The microphone did it. And it's very off-putting. A linear response respects your expression perfectly. So the player is hearing every detail of what they are doing. Does that make sense? Yes? Fantastic. So basically, looking at other fundamental frequencies, we knew the guitar amplifier is 75 hertz to 7K. This is the perfect representation of what is happening at the speaker. Then you look at something like a piano, which has a huge range. Now, when you think about the piano, as you come, like any stringed instrument, as you reach the higher register, the strings become shorter. At the top end of a piano, it's more percussive than sonorous. You hear tick, tick, tick. At the low end, boom, huge waves. But at the top end, percussion. This causes your ears to compress, okay? You hear this hard sound, which naturally makes you play more soft. But actually, the beauty of the ribbon microphone, where the roll-off begins, coincides with where the percussive sound of the strings is. And they cross over and make a perfect balance. So the ribbon microphone is the perfect partner for pianos. Okay? If you have a grand piano, the stereo Apollo is the best mic in the world. In the world. So, looking at things like cello, again, huge range, 60 hertz to 8K. And this is without harmonics. This is fundamentals. Any saxophone players? There will be some in your lives, okay? They are difficult instruments to record because a tenor sax has 104 hertz to 659. Less than 1 kilohertz of fundamental frequencies. I had to check this out so many times because it looks ridiculous, but it's this. You put a condenser microphone in front of a tenor sax, you have a kazoo. It is disaster. It is absolute disaster. A ribbon microphone like Sigma is the perfect partner. The perfect partner. And vocals, exactly the same. So begin to understand your fundamental frequencies and then, like a paintbrush, select the correct microphone for what you are trying to paint as a picture, okay? I also include the halo, the dynamic guitar microphone. You see a very accentuated frequency response. This is for live sound, okay? This enables the guitar amp to sit in the mix immediately. The engineer front of house needs to do no work. You just put this microphone there. However, if you blend together the delta and the halo, you add real instrument EQ, You're using that microphone as a real life EQ. It's natural. It's happening at the same time as the other recording. So you're not using plugins, you're using analog sound for painting that picture. And we will demonstrate that soon. So there you see Delta, high SPL, handling all of those concepts very well. I will explain a little later about our famous guys. Sigma, same concept, but acoustic instruments, strings, pianos, also for voice. Always use a pop filter and always this distance. This is the magic distance. I see so many people with the pop filter on the mic. It does nothing. You see it in rap videos or YouTube video. No, stop this. It must be this distance in order to stop the wave of energy hitting the ribbon or the microphone capsule. Apollo 2, I already showed you here. I'm just going to bend this back here so we are safe. Stay. Okay. There we go. This is maybe my most proud construction of anything. This is a Blumlein stereo microphone. You heard the phrase Blumlein before? Great. That saves us half an hour. Okay. This is unique in the world. This grill is completely without any brakes. It began its life as a flat piece of metal. Then it was perforated. The perforations were stretched, and then it was folded. How do I join it together? I tried many ways, and I was with a factory in England. We were scratching our heads. Trevor, it's not possible. It must be possible. The only option we have is a laser, and this is welded by a laser. Each time cost me 120 euros. A nanosecond, done. But the laser is what bonds this together. The reason I needed it to be this way is because of these ribbons picking up sound from both sides, bidirectional. This side, this side. We have basically a surround sound microphone, a 3D mic. And therefore we need the signal to come in equally from every possible direction. We don't want anything to block it and therefore unbalance this Blumlein configuration. So we think of it as a basically a linear planar thing, but it's actually spheres of pickup. So imagine 4 balls of sound, spheres picking up from every direction. Have any of you heard of the James Bond Skyfall theme?
Yes.
You know the piano? It's this. Okay. We're very proud of this. It's used in Abbey Road Studios. They have 2, and they're used every day. Almost every Hollywood movie soundtrack you have heard for the past 8 years, 9 years, nearly 10, is the Apollo. They have it on the Decca tree up in the sky listening to all the orchestra, and they have it on the Steinway grand piano, Steinway D, huge grand piano. This is the microphone they choose every time. Okay, it's a very special thing for me. We're almost there. Corona, the name, okay. This was before the disease, but it really helped the sales. Long story short, I make it very short. The Halo microphone, which is, in fact, no, it's not here. The Halo microphone for the guitar amplifiers, people loved the Art Deco style, so they started to use it for singing. And I said, please don't do that because it's designed specifically for guitars. It sounds like this on vocals, but it's great for guitars. No, people were EQing it. No, this is a disaster. So I redesigned the concept and produced Corona specifically for vocals, really specifically for stage, live sound. This has become a huge success for us, huge success. Aria, our Lampashki microphone, again, such an important product for us. I am saying that correctly, I hope. This was my very first specific vocal microphone, and it became a real project. 3 years of research and development. We had some incredible people helping us in the development process. A young lady called Adele, don't know if you've heard of her. Florence and the Machine, PJ Harvey, Ed Sheeran. I don't know if you heard of Ed Sheeran, maybe?
Yes.
These guys are all part of our team of research and development beta testers. It's real world, genuine people helping us develop our brand. And this became, even today, we can't show you the microphone because we sold the only one we have here. So it's a stunning product. I'm very proud of it. It does exactly what we say. It's a beautiful vocal mic. But it also works beautifully on stringed instruments. Piano, acoustic guitar, you name it, it does the trick. I'm moving quickly because we need to have some sound soon. Mercury, okay, this is the flagship of our condenser microphones. Another, well, in fact, sorry, he's over here, is a multi-pattern, okay? This is variable patterns from omnidirectional to cardioid to figure of 8 and everything in the middle, but a continuous, not click, but continuous. So you can shape the pickup sound how you want it. It's incredibly powerful. In electronics, have any of you studied electronics in school? Yeah, some of you. You know, if you have a resistor or a capacitor, it has a value, and then next to the value will be a percentage, 10 plus or minus 10%, 20%. This is the tolerance. So maybe it's 100, maybe it's 80, maybe it's 120. This is your range of whatever the function is. With Mercury, I moved to 1% tolerance components, which nobody does. Even Neumann doesn't really use this anymore. The cost is unbelievable. There is one capacitor in this microphone that costs more than this pack, okay? It's a serious investment, but it works. And the point is, this is about precision. Everything in this microphone is as precise as possible. So if you want to buy 1 or 20, they will be identical. And this is a very, very rare thing in our industry. So this for us was a triumph of engineering and proved to me the difference of a 1% and a 10% component. It really makes a difference. Finally, of the products, we have the Podcast Pro. In 2019, November, I finished making my design for a podcasting microphone. The industry, as many of you will know, has become huge. How many of you watch YouTube videos? How many of you listen to podcasts? It's everything now. It's the world we're in. But it's not connected to music at all. So this is about broadcasting. So when you're thinking about a broadcast microphone, it's a very different matter compared to a singing or musical microphone. The reason is you are going to be listening to a broadcast for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours or a longer time than a 3-minute song. If you have a sibilant microphone, listening to a 3-minute pop song, okay, every now and then you hear tss, and it hurts your ears. How many of you use earbuds, Apple earbud? Yeah, please don't do that, okay? It's very bad for you. Throw them away. But the point is, it's in your head. You hear sibilants, it's uncomfortable, but it's 3 minutes, it's finished. If you're listening to a 1 or 2 hour broadcast and it's a sibilant microphone, it's like torture, okay? This frequency, the 5 to 8 kilohertz frequency, is used for torturing people, okay? They broadcast these frequencies, white noise. It's painful, physically painful. So I have designed and developed this microphone to have very, very low tolerance for sibilance. It has a pop filter built into the microphone, so you don't need to have this big thing in front of your face on camera, because most of these people are using these for broadcasting on YouTube and streaming. It also has superior off-axis response. So anything that is not directly on axis for the mouth is almost silent. It just happened that when we launched this at NAMM 2020, 3 months later, the world stopped and shut down. Everyone wanted to get into podcasting. 10,000 microphones sold in just over 14 months. It was unbelievable. We had every member of our family and our friends making these microphones. We make them by hand in England. We had everyone in. I had to give up my studio live room to turn into the Podcast Pro production room. So this became an entirely new process for us and introduced us to the broadcasting and consumer sector. So this is a relatively inexpensive microphone. It has 2 times the output of the, I have to say it, the Shure SM7. So I'm on video. Shure SM7. And this is really important because when you're talking about buying these things you see on TV or on YouTube, you know, Joe Rogan, have any of you heard of Joe Rogan? The American guy. You know, at the end of the day, this is what you see. You see the microphone he is using because Shure gave them the microphones and, of course, was a very clever idea for marketing. So everyone wants an SM7B. How many people have used an SM7B? There you go. It's not an easy microphone. It's a very, very old microphone. It has a very low output, but it's used in this industry as a kind of vanilla thing, which if you can't find the mic for the vocalist, put an SM7 up and play with the EQ. That's it, guaranteed, all right? It's not suitable for broadcast because you need to play with the EQ for every voice. So each time you have a new person come in for an interview, you need to change the EQ every time. So, in addition, the output level is so low, you need to buy a boost box to actually give it a reasonable level. So you hear the cloud lifter or something like this. You've now spent 500 or 600 euros on one microphone. This is, well, 120 euros, something like this. For the price of one SM7 and cloud lifter, you can have a 4-person interview setup from Sontronics. So, thinking about this. Became a very successful product for us and now is put us in the market. Finally is a page of people who work with us. We never give away microphones to anyone. So I'm sorry if you came here with that belief. It's not happening. Nothing for free, okay? These people are, many of them are my heroes in music. Aerosmith is my favorite band. And 8 years ago, I was invited to a studio in Hollywood. And nobody told me why, but yeah, we're in Sunset Boulevard at Swing House Studios. Come on in, Aerosmith recording with my microphones. And it was like, okay, I can go to heaven now, or hell, depending on how people see me. But it was at a moment in my life just perfect. Queens of the Stone Age, I don't know if any of you have heard Queen. I had no idea who these guys were. I have an email, hey, I'm Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age, we're really interested in your mics. Like, okay. I don't know you. Fine. Yeah, we can do that. So we send some mics. They make their recordings, make their albums, send us the albums. Yeah, this is great. Still, I have no idea. They come to England on tour and they invite us to a gig. We arrive at the gig and there are thousands of people there. And we realize this is a big band. And then we start to trace the heritage of their band and they are connected with the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl. And oh, Dave Grohl happened to be the first guy who tested my Delta, by the way. There's another story. All of these guys are friends. They are people who have bought the microphones. And it's something we're very proud of. Abbey Road Studios has one of the finest collections of vintage microphones in the world. Every day they're using Sontronics. Thank you very much for listening to all of this in English. I hope it makes sense. We're going to listen to some music now, and we'll do some questions after. First, obviously, we have acoustic guitar. This time it's nice, we have a classical guitar. So, more soft and gentle tones, acoustics, of course, beautiful harmonics. We are using 2 microphones, the Orpheus, which is a large diaphragm condenser, and this has multi-patterns, cardioid, omni, figure of 8, okay? And also a couple of extra functions, but we are staying here with just a 0 decibel boost or cut. It is exactly in the center, no additional gain or cut. We then have the Sigma 2, which is our ribbon microphone, as you know, requiring phantom power. I will say one thing now, and I would like to explode a myth. In your engineering lessons, you will learn about never put phantom power with ribbon microphones, okay? And I see many of you this, okay? It's not necessarily true. It's a legend. Over many years, it's grown and grown into a horror story, a monster. The fact is, going back maybe to the 30s and 40s, where these ribbon microphones were first invented, the transformer inside, so let me explain the engineering. You have the ribbon with the magnets, that's your transducer. Then you have a transformer which boosts, amplifies that signal. And that was it. Just like a dynamic microphone capsule, exactly the same concept. However, those transformers had what was called a center tap. And this was a connection to earth, okay, in addition to the earth pin on the XLR. If you send phantom power to that microphone, pins 1 and 2 will send the positive voltage, the 48 volts, and negative 48, directly to the center tap. It burns the transformer. It will not explode. It won't catch fire. It might smoke, but that's it, okay? However, this was what everyone was taught as an engineer. You never put phantom power with ribbons. Generally speaking, unless the microphone is from that era, you don't need to worry. Even if it is a passive ribbon microphone with no amplifier inside, it's not a problem. Like a dynamic microphone, a handheld, you can put phantom power there. It should be no problem. But it's not good practice. Okay, understand me clearly? It's not what you should do. Always check first. Our ribbon microphones say clearly, phantom power required. Okay, it's clear. And on the front, you know the front, but okay, it also says rear on the back because you have bi-directional pickup. One is positive phase, the other is negative phase. If the engineer comes in for the second session and puts it the wrong way round, when you come to replay, maybe you hear nothing because one phase cancels the other phase, okay? And it's happened many times, trust me. So now you have a very clear image of where to put the microphone. So now we will listen. Maybe we do 8 bars or something like this. Okay. Yeah, always applause. This microphone is astonishing for room ambience, designed for guitars, acoustic guitar, drum overheads in cardioid mode. This is like a sponge. It's like a laser beam. It can see and hear everything and it soaks up every detail. All you need is 2 of these and a kick mic. If it's a jazz kit, 2 of these, that's it. The entire drum kit is there. Okay, so again, Sontronics Orpheus for those is perfect. The ribbon microphone, curiously with the classical guitar, gives that warm sound again that we talked about. You lose that top end. And curiously, if you get closer to the guitar, you'll hear, actually, that's exactly what's going on. If you think about the difference of a steel-stringed acoustic guitar compared to a classical nylon strings, the nylon strings have less attack. And so the ribbon mic is just promoting that more. Okay, so this is how to use. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. This is what I want to share with you. There are no rules. This is creativity. This is art. If you like something or you don't like something, say so. Because when you leave this institute, you will go out into the world and you are individuals. And this is what happens. You know, when you're here, you have friends, you're part of a group. But when you go into the real world, it's your individual taste and individual talent that will get you a job or not. Your individual skills in production that will make you famous or not. Okay? So if you don't like something or you do like something, don't be afraid to say. Okay? It's really important. Don't be told the ribbon microphone is the very best sound. That's it. Next. No. If you don't like it, that's okay. But now you've heard it. This is the important thing. This is the sharing, the educating and sharing with you. I want you to hear this. How many times have you had the opportunity to hear 2 types of microphone on an acoustic guitar? All right. So I'm not here to tell you this is the best thing in the world, but I'm here to demonstrate the differences. Never, ever, ever put the microphone in front of the center of the cone, because this is a bad zone. Okay. This is where the energy is being pushed from. The idea of the cone, obviously, is to push the sound out into this conical shape. This is the actuator of the sound. Around here is very bad, difficult frequencies. It's almost mechanical. Okay, so you will have nothing worth recording there. The same story at the edge of the cone. You have resonance now. If you imagine you drop a stone into a bowl of water, you remember you see the waves go out. This is what we are talking, waves. So the waves go out, they hit the edge, and they reflect back again. And then they hit the waves coming out, and you get standing waves, okay, where they collide. Here at the edge is where the return and the coming in come together. You don't put the microphone there, okay? However, the space in between, and this is very small, the space in between, the closer to the center is a more darker sound, okay? The space out is more bright. And you can move the microphone and this will change the timbre, okay? The bigger the speaker, the more chance you have to demonstrate this efficiently. I can't do that today. What we have also is two microphones. We have the Delta and the Halo. Very importantly, when you are putting two microphones together, you must ensure that the transducer of each is in the same position because we are talking about phase correlation. So that the phase, the pickup, starts at the same time. So you need to make sure that those two microphones, they could be like this just because the transducers are in different positions inside, but you need to know that, okay? By doing that, you have phase correlation. So the two things are moving perfectly together. Clear? Wonderful. Take it away, maestro. Very done. Over here we have the power box, but also the polar pattern control. And as I mentioned, I'll try and lift it here. This is the continuously variable polarity pattern selection. So we go from omnidirectional, all around, to cardioid, so main on axis, then to figure of eight, bidirectional. And then at the off axis in bidirectional, there's nothing at all. But you can have two singers either side of this microphone and it's absolutely balanced, okay? This is the positivity of the mercury. For most vocal work, we use cardioid. One of the most valuable polar positions is in fact subcardioid. This is the position between cardioid and omni. And the reason I suggest it is many people now are watching YouTube videos to learn. Yeah, they see a video, music video, and the artist is like this singing. They're not singing, it's a video. The recording is done in the studio, but they see them singing and moving. So you will have an artist come into your studio and they will be singing and moving like this. And you'll be on the fader like this. Oh my God, stop moving. Okay, let's move this to subcardioid. We move a little more towards omnidirectional, which opens the space a little more for the pickup. And if they move here or move here, it's no different. It's a very useful tool for you as an engineer, okay? But for now, we have a professional vocalist who knows exactly what she's doing, so we can go to cardioid. But don't be afraid to experiment, okay? Using figure of eight, you remember I told you is proximity effect the same as cardioid, but in fact is stronger proximity effect. So, if you want to experiment with a different timbre with the same artist, let them listen. Another tip, when they are using headphones in the booth, add a little reverb. A little reverb. The reason is, The reverb helps to hold the last note that they sang, and it keeps them in tune for the next phrase. Okay, just a little tap. Not a huge cathedral, but just a little reverb, and it makes them feel much more comfortable. But today we have a professional vocalist. She doesn't need reverb or headphones. So the microphone just blends into the background. But remember, what we are listening to is the microphone. Okay. I think that's everything. We're kind of done, yeah? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to our vocalist and our engineer and our guitarist. And thank you to the player team also for a fantastic reception. And thank you to the team here at the university function. I'm so grateful for your welcome and your hospitality. Thank you very much. And thank you all for attending and listening in English. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Any questions from anybody? Good. Right, let's go. Anything. Don't be afraid. Please, there must be some questions.
Which one of those, because we talked about the warmth at the beginning.
Yep.
Which one of those would you say that it's the most intimate?
Oh, that's the word I use in ribbons, intimate. That's the perfect description. Because what we are talking about intimacy is when it comes close. It comes close and it feels like it's wrapping itself around you. So if you think about a radio broadcast late at night, and if you're wearing headphones, you just hear this sound that's intimate in your brain. It just holds you. If it's for vocals, the Sigma will do that job. I mean, reality, if you want to do another phrase, we can do it with the Sigma so you can hear the difference. Just to remember with this being a ribbon microphone, stand back, just, that's perfect, that's perfect.
Stars shining bright above you. Night breeze seems to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me.
Again, perfection.
When I found myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she's standing right in front of me, whisper words of wisdom, let it be.